So, let's take a look at immigration narratives, media bias, and why independent research is so very important. I want to talk a little bit about dueling narratives on both sides of the immigration debate, and how each group is using misleading language, imagery, and statistics to obscure the truth. This video will focus on the right wing's efforts to reframe the discussion, and their use of rhetoric and emotional manipulation to convince folks of their arguments.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson. Tonight, the spectacle of illegal immigrants separated from their children at the border has ceased to be a news story in any traditional sense of the term. It is now an event, a kind of competition in which elites vie to see who can reach greater heights of rhetorical excess and self-righteous posturing. It is performance art, really. Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi and even Hillary Clinton took an early lead in the contest by bypassing public policy questions entirely and moving straight to theology. Here are part of their sermons. Watch.
The hypocrisy of all people of faith in our country not to clamor for this, for what the administration is doing to end.
Those who selectively use the Bible to justify this cruelty are ignoring a central tenet of Christianity. Jesus said, "Suffer the little children unto me." He did not say, "Let the children suffer."
So the same people who support third-term post-viability abortion for purposes of sex selection are now lecturing you about God and sin and the holiness of children. Feel chastened? But wait, there's more. So much more. On Facebook, Senator Ben Sasse called the administration's policy wicked, as in immoral and devilish. Former First Lady Laura Bush likened it to the internment of the Japanese during World War II, a moral stain upon this nation. Former CIA Director Michael Hayden went all the way. He tweeted out a picture of Auschwitz, a death camp, and compared the U.S. government to the Nazis. After sobering up, Hayden walked that back a little bit on television, but not much. Watch.
I know we're not Nazi Germany, all right, but there is a commonality there. I've lived in Germany for 3 years, a more civilized people you cannot find.
But General...
And so I was trying to point out we need be careful not to move in that direction.
Oh, we could go on. There is so much more just like that. The rich and powerful reminding you just how virtuous they are. You think any of these people really care about family separation? If they did, they'd be worried about the collapse of the American family, which is measurable and real, but they're not worried about that. In fact, they welcome that collapse because strong families are an impediment to their political power. And that's why they're always lecturing you about the patriarchy and the evil of the nuclear family. Millions and millions of American kids are growing up with one parent at home, families separated, thanks to their policies, and that's fine with them. Many of those kids, by the way, have a parent behind bars. It's not just illegal immigrants who are separated from their children. The majority of American citizens in prison have minor kids they've left behind. Their families have been separated by force by our justice system because they committed a crime. So in that way, these kids are just like the kids you've been watching on television today. The difference, of course, is they're Americans, so nobody is spending $35 grand a year apiece to make sure they're okay. Democratic politicians and cable news anchors don't visit their foster homes to highlight their plight. They're ignored. This is one of those moments that tells you everything about our ruling class. They care far more about foreigners than about their own people. You probably suspected that already. The other thing you may have noticed is that they're not especially interested in solutions to anything. They're great at yelling and at preening, not so good at fixing and building. We could strengthen our borders to keep illegals out. We could fund more immigration courts to process those who sneak through anyway. We could even build more housing facilities at the border, holding facilities, to allow families to stay together while their asylum claims are processed. But the left is not interested in any of that. Their only solution is immediate amnesty for anyone who crosses our borders with a minor in tow. And of course, that's the same as no borders at all, not to mention a powerful incentive for child smuggling. They don't care. Because no matter what they tell you, this is not about helping children. A lot of people yelling at you on TV don't even have children, so don't for a second let them take the moral high ground. Their goal is to change your country forever, and they're succeeding, by the way. Since 2014, to name one example among many, at least 500,000 Central Americans who came here illegally have been released back inside our borders. Did anyone vote for that? And more to the point, who's going to pay for that? Not the people you've been watching on television today. Their kids go to private school if they have them. Their neighborhoods look exactly like they did in 1960. No demographic change at all, just like they like it. There's no cost to them. The cost is entirely on you. But don't complain, or else they will call you Hitler.
I'll also do a counterpoint in which I take a look at how the left wing does the exact same thing. Anyway, here's the Donald.
We're gathered today to hear directly from the American victims of illegal immigration. You know, you hear the other side, you never hear this side. You don't know what's going on. These are the American citizens permanently separated from their loved ones. The word permanently being the word that you have to think about, permanently. They're not separated for a day or 2 days. These are permanently separated because they were killed by criminal illegal aliens. These are the families the media ignores. They don't talk about them. Very unfair. We have to look at everybody, but this is a very unfair situation. Our first duty and our highest loyalty is to the citizens of the United States. We want safety in our country. We want border security. We don't want people in our country that don't go through a process. We want people in our country based on merit, not based on a draw, where other countries put their absolute worst in a bin and they start drawing people. Where you think they're going to put their good ones. They don't put their good ones. They put their bad ones. And then when they commit crimes, we're so surprised. We'll not rest until our border is secure, our citizens are safe, and we finally end the immigration crisis once and for all. We want safety in our country. We want strong borders. We want people to come in, but we want them to come in the proper way.
That's pretty emotionally convincing, right? How could such tragic stories be ignored? Every conclusion that flows from this emotional plea has to be right. Right? Let's explore that.
But don't complain, or else they will call you Hitler.
President Trump has offered a number of statistics to back up his claims. According to Voice of America, AP has fact-checked his numbers. Trump. So here are just a few statistics on the human toll of illegal immigration. According to a 2011 government report, the arrests attached to the criminal alien population included an estimated 25,000 people for homicide, 42,000 for robbery, nearly 70,000 for sex offenses, and nearly 15,000 for kidnapping. In Texas alone, within the last 7 years, more than 250,000 criminal aliens have been arrested and charged with over 600 criminal offenses. You don't hear that. The facts. Trump is likely working from a 2011 U.S. Government Accountability Office report that looked at arrests, costs, and incarcerations of immigrants who are in the U.S. illegally. The statistics he cites are accurate. He doesn't note that about half of all of the 3 million arrests of the criminal alien population in the study were for immigration, 529,859, drugs, 504,043, or traffic offenses, 404,488. And some of the immigration arrests were related to civil violations, not criminal charges. The report didn't distinguish between the two. Trump. I always hear that. Oh no, the population's safer than the people that live in this country. You've heard that, fellas, right? You've heard that. I hear it so much. And I say, is that possible? The answer is, it's not true. You hear it like they're better people than what we have, than our citizens. It's not true. Is Trump right about all this? Well, the Cato Institute is a libertarian think tank headquartered in Washington, D.C. It was founded as the Charles Koch Foundation in 1974 by Ed Crane, Murray Rothbard, and Charles Koch, Chairman of the Board and Chief Executive Officer of the conglomerate Koch Industries. Yes, that's Charles Koch of the Koch brothers' infamy. This right-wing think tank disagrees with Donald Trump's twisting of statistics. I've grabbed a couple of the pertinent charts from their study, but feel free to look up the entire document and fact-check everything I'm saying. This is the criminal conviction rate for Texas in 2015 by immigration status. In this case, natives just means people who were born in the U.S. Now remember, these are not the overall numbers of convictions, these are the rates per 100,000 people. So, for every 100,000 U.S.-born Americans in Texas, 1,794 are criminally convicted. Now take a look at the illegal immigrant numbers. Less than half. For every 100,000 illegal immigrants in Texas, 782 are criminally convicted. Legal immigrants, with only 262 convictions per 100,000 immigrants, seem to be the most law-abiding people in Texas. Okay, I get it. Those aren't the numbers of convictions for violent crimes. Sure, lots of citizens get booked for silly things like marijuana possession, vandalism, stealing chocolate bars, etc., right? When it comes to something more serious, like murder, the numbers have to back up what Trump is saying, right? Sorry, here are the homicide conviction rates for Texas in 2015. Same deal for 100,000 people in a particular subpopulation. Just take a look at it. Illegal immigrants are significantly less homicidal than their American-born counterparts. And yet, legal immigrants seem to take the sanctity of life much more seriously than either Americans or illegal immigrants. These conclusions are backed up by many different data sets from various parts of the country. Even the right-wingers who actually take the time to look at the data and come to the irrefutable conclusion that much of the rhetoric spoken by Republican politicians and certain media outlets, say Fox News, Breitbart, and media personalities like Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, and Alex Jones. Even they know it's just plain false. It's this sort of marketing that is the most dangerous. It caters to your preconceptions, pats you on the head, and says, "You've been right all along. All of your worst assumptions are true. Now stop thinking and go along with what we're saying." Surely, though, misleading the public for political gain is just a right-wing tactic. Or is it? If you enjoyed this production by The State of Opportunity, please like and subscribe. Remember, you're the ones who make this all possible. You can also check out our Facebook page at Opportunity State and follow us on Twitter at @OfByOpportunity. If you feel like chipping in a couple bucks, please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/stateofopportunity. Have a great day, and remember to always keep an open mind.